Welcome back, everyone. Thank you for visiting the YouTube channel for bestbiblecommentaries.com. In this video, I'm going to talk about 5 standalone New Testament commentaries that have received excellent reviews. This video goes with my last one, which I did on 5 standalone Old Testament commentaries that have received excellent reviews. Before I share more about these volumes and share with you an academic review for each one, I invite you to subscribe to my channel if you are interested in videos like this. Clicking that like button on my videos really helps me out. I appreciate that. And feel free to leave a comment or ask a question down below. I'm also going to put links to each of these volumes in the description box below the video screen, so if you're interested in acquiring one of these, I invite you to use those links. All right, the first one is The Revelation to John, subtitle, A Commentary on the Greek Text of the Apocalypse by Stephen S. Smalley. This commentary was published in 2005. It is 633 pages in length. This is a technical commentary. There is a lot of Greek in this volume, and those who aren't familiar with Greek and don't know Greek are not going to maximize the content in this commentary. Doesn't mean you won't get anything out of it. It just means you might have to hunt a little more, spend a little bit more time, perhaps read a little bit slower to pick up some of the conversation, because there's actually Greek characters, Greek letters, Greek words in the body of the text, in the explanations of the commentary. So if you're new to my channel, what I like to do is share academic reviews on commentaries, because I think they're the most helpful, and not many people have access to them. So I like to share them and hopefully help Bible readers, Bible students, pastors just get the right materials for whatever their purposes are. The academic review I have for this volume comes from the Perspectives in Religious Studies academic journal, and the reviewer says, although Smalley interprets Revelation in a modified idealist sense, those who interpret it in a futuristic manner should not dismiss this commentary as unhelpful, for insights may be gained from reading it. Whereas this reviewer disagrees with many of the author's interpretations, it must be said that there are excellent insights on God's victory over Satan and his evil machinations. Usually after each section, there are 2 pages on theology that are worth reading. Smalley often refers to works on Revelation by Beale and Oon. So G.K. Beale wrote the Revelation volume in the NIGTC series, and David Oon in the Word Biblical Commentary series. So those are excellent commentaries on Revelation, and that's who Stephen Smalley interacts with the most. So one thing that's true about Revelation commentaries is that people will often choose a volume based on their eschatological perspective or their end times perspective, which of course that makes sense for people to do that. But there are others of us who, we might have a certain eschatological bent, but can still see value in Revelation commentaries that are written from other perspectives. So that's what this reviewer is saying. Even if you don't agree with the modified idealist sense of Smalley, there's still benefit to this. And so that might be, as I think about it, that might be a little bit more of an advanced technique. If you're just getting used to using biblical studies resources, you might want to find a resource on Revelation that does fit your perspective before you dive into, people you disagree with. It just might make the discernment a little bit easier. But so Stephen Smalley, The Revelation to John. All right, the next one is The Gospel of John by Craig Keener. This is actually 2 volumes, and I'm just showing you one of the volumes. This commentary was published in 2003. Both volumes together are over 1,600 pages. I would call this a mid-level commentary. Pastors would do fine with it. I think a lot of lay people would do fine with it. There is some Greek in it, not to the point of for it to be classified as a technical commentary, but there is quite a bit of depth, and that's what we would expect. If you're familiar with Craig Keener, that's what you would expect. He is a prolific commentary writer. He's very, very well reviewed. All his commentaries that he comes out with are well reviewed, and the majority now are standalone commentaries. So it's he does have a few in different series, but most of them now are standalone commentaries. But he is, if you're new to commentaries, he's a great author to follow. All right, the academic review I have for this volume comes from Bibliotheca Sacra, which is the journal for Dallas Theological Seminary. The reviewer says, the introduction could be an independent book. That's true. Keener likes his introductions. I think, if I remember right, on his 4,500 page Acts commentary, which I did a video on a few months ago, I think the introduction was like 600 pages, if I remember correctly, 500 or 600 pages, somewhere in there. So once again, there's a massive introduction in this volume, although this one's volume 2, so it would be in volume 1, of course. All right, so continuing. The introduction could be an independent book. It includes all the traditional introductory discussions one expects to see in a commentary, like genre, author, date, background, theology. Its conclusions are generally traditional, and that's what we would expect from Keener. He's conservative. The Apostle John is the author. The book is dated to the 90s. However, these conclusions are arrived at only after careful consideration of the evidence and often only marginally preferred to other options. This approach reveals the author's familiarity with the issues and a cautious method driven by the evidence. The length of the introduction provides space to discuss many issues in detail. And then the conclusion for this review in Bibliotheca Sacra. There are many excellent commentaries on John, including the contributions of Raymond Brown and D.A. Carson. Keener's work joins and possibly surpasses these. The more one learns about the ancient context, the better one can understand the biblical text. Keener provides the reader with a wealth of excellent material to illuminate the Gospel of John and to enrich study of other New Testament literature. So I should have mentioned that Keener's expertise, he has several areas of expertise, I would say, but one of the areas that he really focuses on in his commentaries is the socio-cultural background information in the different commentaries. So he will explain the text. He will do some theological reflection, which you can use for building application on. But one of the areas he just concentrates on is that historical background. So that's why the reviewer said what he did. Okay. Next up is Ephesians by Harold Hoehner. I did a video on this one. I don't remember when it was, but I can't remember if I talked about this by itself or in comparison with another one. But this is one of these kind of commentaries where it's not a commentary, it's an achievement. This is an incredible resource. It was published in 2002. It is 930 pages in length. Is it mid-level or technical? I would, if I had to choose one, I'd probably say it's technical. There's some, but, so there's Greek text. Let's see, I don't know if you can see that, but the Greek text is in bold, but it's followed by the English translation in quotations. In the body of the explanation, there is discussion about the Greek, but there's definitions, tenses, grammar, syntax, that kind of thing. But there's not a lot of Greek in the body of the explanation. So let's say, is it technical? Yes, but it has some mid-level characteristics to it. If you can read a mid-level commentary, and sometimes you avoid technical commentaries, I would challenge yourself with this volume. I think it's that good. It would be one of the top commentaries, in my opinion. It's one of the top commentaries on any New Testament book. That's how good it is. All right. I can't remember if I said published in 2002, 930 pages. The review I have is from the Bulletin of Biblical Research. And of course, you can go watch that video where I talk about this in more depth. There's some amazing features to this commentary. All right. So the reviewer says, Harold Hoehner's commentary on Ephesians is not part of any series. It is, as we say, a standalone. This is a fitting state of affairs, for the commentary has few peers. Few commentaries on any book are as thorough, detailed, judicious, and insightful as this one. I agree with all of that. Continuing, this next statement is very important. From the 60-page defense of Pauline authorship to 4 pages of commentary on the final verse and everything in between, Hoehner interacts remarkably with ancient literature, modern scholarship, the text of Ephesians, and the mind of Paul. Now, it's that first part. I mean, all of that's a fantastic review. But the 60-page defense of Pauline authorship. This is a little bit more an expensive commentary. I can't remember how much it is off the top of my head. Between $40 and $50 new, I would guess, for the hard copy. In my opinion, the 60-page defense of Pauline authorship is mind-blowing. It is I would have paid whatever I did for those 60 pages. It is tremendous, the amount of research that he puts into those 60 pages. I don't think it's particularly difficult to follow, but it's just, it's amazing what he does in that section. So the last few lines of this review on this volume says, "The final verdict is without question. This commentary is indispensable for serious study of Ephesians. The numerous reviews full of praise for this commentary are in this case entirely legitimate." I totally agree. You will not only learn about Ephesians, you will learn about the New Testament, you will learn about Greek, you will learn about theology. It is just an amazing resource. If you limited me to, I don't know, say, hey, you could only have 10 commentaries on your shelf. I have a lot more than that. Some of you do too. I know you do. If I could only have, 10 or 20 commentaries or something like that, this would be on my short list. That's how good I think this volume is. So again, you can check out my video on that for more information. All right, next one is Peter Stuhlmacher, Paul's letter to the Romans commentary. I just wanted to mention this kind of briefly in my last video. I mentioned an introductory commentary on the Old Testament, just to give a little bit of variety. And I wanted to do the same with this video, and I picked this volume to do it, and mostly because I don't know if many people know about this commentary. Stuhlmacher is a German theologian, and I believe that this commentary, if I remember correctly, is written in German, and then it's been translated into English. I should say it's published in 1994, and it's 269 pages in length. It's mid-level for sure, but it's kind of its own category as well, because a mid-level commentary on Romans, but it's only 258 pages. And so other mid-level commentaries on Romans can easily be between 500 and 1,000 pages. So it's kind of interesting. But it's paperback, 258 pages, so it's going to be more affordable. One of the more affordable options. Now, he said he's a German theologian, and some of you that might have certain connotations because you're remembering your some church history from the last century or two. So Stuhlmacher's conservative, and so it's just it's a really interesting resource. And that's not to say that all conservative evangelicals are going to agree with everything he says in here, but generally his approach to Romans is conservative. So it's an interesting resource, and one that some of you might want to dig into a little bit more. It seems like one can never have enough commentaries on Romans. Maybe that's just me speaking, but anyway, it's an interesting resource, and I think Westminster John Knox Press puts that out. So, all right, the last one is Robert Gundry's commentary on Mark, a commentary on his apology for the cross. And this commentary was published in 1993, and it is 1,065 pages in length. I would describe it as technical. I think most pastors would do okay with it. The technical part is partially related to his interaction with the original languages, but there's a lot of biblical scholarship, and Gundry has a lot of interesting ideas, I guess you might say. That's not necessarily anything negative. He just has some unique perspective. There was one reviewer, I can't remember, it's not the one I'm going to share with you, but one reviewer I came across he says there's a novel idea on every page. I think that's a quote. There's a novel idea on every page. Interesting book, because there's a little bit of a story to Gundry. So some of you might know D.A. Carson's Matthew volume in the Expositor's Bible Commentary series, or the Revised Expositor's Bible Commentary series. D.A. Carson's Matthew volume, one of the best reviewed New Testament commentaries ever. So Gundry was actually wrote that Matthew volume, and then the editors or the publisher, can't quite remember how it went, decided that it's not conservative enough. There's too much criticism. And so then D.A. Carson took over the Matthew commentary for that series and wrote an amazing commentary. Well, some of Gundry's work on the synoptics and some of the ideas that he shared in that commentary are now found in this volume. So, and I also just kind of mentioned too that if some of his approach to the text, and I would describe it as critical, moderate critical. So you are aware of that. All right. The review I have is from Calvin Theological Journal. Robert Gundry's major works are always impressive, painstakingly thorough, with voluminous, sorry, I hesitated on that word, voluminous detail. Let me start over. Robert Gundry's major works are always impressive, painstakingly thorough, and voluminous detail on every page of criticism, from grammatical to redaction to narrative, plus an interaction with an amazing amount of secondary literature. This commentary on Mark is also truly impressive and can easily function as an encyclopedia of Markan studies over the last 2 decades. So what that review would signal to me is that this is probably a better resource for academics, scholars, professors, maybe a seminary student, depending on what exactly you're studying, than for your average pastor. That's probably a fair statement. Now, there might be some pastors who just love it. That's fine. I'm just speaking generally. It's probably more of an academic resource than a resource for ministry. But if you disagree, that's fine. All right, so that's the last one. I hope this video has been helpful. I really enjoyed making it and thinking through standalone commentaries. So feel free to leave a question or a comment, and I'll see you next time.